Hello everyone, Coach Guess here. This is Reddit Lucio. This is our JV squad. So we had a rescheduled match from last week, and so we came in today after school to get our match in. We were facing HCCP. They're another squad that's 0-3. Oh, sorry, 0-2 coming into this match.
5, 4,
I got my numbers
3,
twisted.
2,
But these are both squads that
probably
ran into some struggles or difficulties early in the season. As much as I'm going to coach Reddit Lucio, the blue team you see on screen, I also might have some comments for the red team as well. Okay, whoop. Normally I start off by talking about roster composition. Now, based on what I remember us talking about, we picked Zarya because Raw Potato has really good hit scan tracking. That'll come in later. However, when we come into this engagement, this is not the way you want to take it. Admittedly, this is probably a misclick. It was probably intended for the Bastion, but positioning-wise, this is not effective positioning. Because if you look at it, as far as hitting the enemy, Zarya can't hit anybody. Soldier, let me get up here, might be able to get some shots in. The Iliari can get a beam on the Bastion, but not much of anything else. And Kiriko is still just in backline healer mode. Bastion can get lots of fire. However, the only person that can really get hit from their point of view is the Bastion. Bastion is a big O hitbox. I don't remember this from the match, but I would not be surprised if Bastion just gets blown up right here. There we go. Okay. That's a cute little shuffle, getting the tank up front and the squishies in back. Okay, how are you? Okay, so far as just chunking damage in. So within Overwatch, we have tanks, supports, and damage dealers. In Overwatch 1, tanks were a lot of times relegated to the phrase of taking space, or making space, or controlling space, which to an extent was true, but a lot of people didn't really define it very well. As far as like, oh, you jump in there and take the space so they can't get there. Well, what happens when you get storm arrows to the face and your tank is now in spawn? Well, that's kind of what this Pharah is doing here. Oh, that mouse swing didn't work very well. So, admittedly, this Pharah is not exactly playing a very effective angle. Had that been me, I would probably, well, I'm not sure I could get in there from here. But if you get up here into this back line, or even scarier, if you fly around to the side, oh, this is just free DPS real estate. And now all of a sudden, instead of just being in the same spot where they can return spam fire and take out really everybody, you could get effective spam damage. I guess what I'm saying is, with all 5 of us sitting right here, that Pharah is racking up damage like crazy. We couldn't see this in the match. But yeah, that Pharah is already sitting at 50% ult charge, and the game hasn't even been at a minute yet. Or better yet, the control point isn't even unlocked, and the Pharah has 50% ult charge, because we're just feeding her ult charge like crazy. So instead of just walking into that same spot, she's gonna keep chunking damage in there. Just go a different way. It's the same thing with Torb turrets or Sim turrets. Oh, drat. And once again, yeah, Bastion's right here in the open with 4 people. Just boom, deleted, gone. And unfortunately, just positionally, Soldier and Kiriko, or really everyone's in a dangerous spot, but Soldier's the most vulnerable, followed closely by Kiriko. Okay, Soldier's getting out, smart. Iliari needs some help, but Brig right in their face. Okay, good. Yeah, and at that point, there's only so much you can do. Regroup. Okay, you can get into the side. As I say, it's like you don't want to peek this too much, especially if they've got a Hanzo or a Mei. You can catch some really brutal sickles, or in this case, Pharah rockets getting spammed. Some free coaching for the other team. Once you've got this control point, you really want to control the point. So getting way up here with your Junker Queen. Junker Queen's a melee tank. She needs to be right up in the thick and dirty of it. Now Pharah, once again, getting this stack of 3, the 3 ladies between Brig, Pharah, Junker, Queen. If I were Pharah, I would flank out over here and come out to the side. Now, you can't hang out here too long. You only have so much jet fuel. But I've had many opportunities where I fly along the outside, get out here, and then you can hover, get some pot shots, come back. Or even with the ult, you wait, they come through, and then you fly it through the back door while they're all looking the opposite way and just drop an ultimate. It's amazing. Free eliminations. But for right now, they're playing it safe, giving us some room here on Reddit, Lucio. Okay. Bastion's looking a different route. Decent bubble management. Okay, but the hard part is when you run out of bubbles, you gotta have big heals. I'm not sure. Oh, dang it. Okay, yeah, because Kiriko had to hop out to help Bastion, who is way out of position. Bastion does a lot of damage. He also takes a lot of damage. He's also very vulnerable. What the? This is a fun skin. So you got to be really careful with positioning, because what happened was stayed here, and then that meant that our Zarya didn't have the support they needed to take the space in there. So now it's 4 on 5, and they have a definitive advantage. Let's see. Yep, and there goes Bastion. 3 on 5, their advantage. Now it's 3 of our squishies, and they have a Junker Queen. Here comes Brig. Okay, so a word about Junker Queen. Both playing her and playing against her. That giant axe swing you see, that's a move called Carnage. It has a base cooldown of 8 seconds. However, if it hits a target, it gets reduced by 2 seconds per target. So, if you've got a stack of squishies here, and you get 2 of them, an 8-second cooldown is now a 4-second cooldown. And if you grab the whole, like if you get like a Echo clone and grab the whole team, Junker Queen can literally just on the global cooldown just smack. That does massive impact damage and bleed damage and heals the Junker Queen. So if at all possible, you want to block that swing, or if you have to take a hit from that, make sure that you're the only one taking that hit. Oh, yep, she just got 2 of us with that. Which takes out the healer and leaves the Zarya low. Okay. Perhaps I spoke too soon about them pressing W and coming on up. Now, the other good thing I've got to point out for the red team is they only used 1 ultimate for that. They still have 2 others ready and 2 others that are close to ready to go. Okay, pause. One of the rules that I really just kind of play by, if you go the same route 3 times, that's your own fault. Especially with Pharah spam damage. In this case, we've tried right. We've tried this middle stairway. Try the left. Now, who knows? Maybe that'll happen. Nope, we're going. Oh. Oh. That's. And we used 2 ultimates to their 1 ultimate and lost that team fight.
Feel better?
And it looks like that could be the round of yeah, because we're down players with 5% to go. So before getting on to the next map of this game, in general, particularly with this one, is you want to control this choke point once you've controlled the map. If you're running into that kind of control issue, if they're controlling this choke point, try the other way. So from this vantage point, if you come out of the bus, everyone usually just goes straight and then either goes to the right or to the center. Occasionally teams will try to flank through here, and you can do one of 2 things. You can either come to the middle and then to the middle, or you can come to the where'd it go? You can come to the middle and go upstairs and try to get this little high ground platform. Or if I keep running through walls, they'll come to the middle, and then you can actually cut through the back door. And if both teams aren't running speed boost or teleporters, if you just straight walk here, by the time you get to this point, the other team will be just about to the point if they go straight there, which means you can engage them from a point of surprise. But regardless, don't go the same way twice. And definitely not 3 times. Another point that I definitely got to call out is we also got, despite getting beat, they didn't use Pharah, Reaper, or Moira ult. Eesh. So, anyway, I don't want to belabor it too much. Let's keep moving.
Torbjorn, ready.
Come on, give me the... There we go. So rollout-wise, the teams actually took opposite rollouts. One took the bridge, one took the tunnel, which is fine. Now, when you take this space, anytime that you engage in a team fight, you need to know what your advantages and disadvantages are, as well as the objective. Now, admittedly, the map objective is right here, but really your first objective is don't die. You can't control the point if you're not alive. Likewise, they can't control the point either if they're not alive. So, as much as this is an objective-based game, there are times where it's appropriate to chase kills to make sure that you have an easier time controlling the point. So as we get here, Torbjorn and the turret are set up in a really good spot to get some crossfire here, but Torb's not going to be able to affect more than this line of vision. Now, admittedly, this is a really good line of vision, because Torb can hit. Once he gets around this corner here, you probably get Reaper, Brig, Junker Queen if she walks back, Pharah if she drops back. As much as possible, you want to split this angle. You want to split this angle so you're getting crossfire from the turret and the Torbjorn. Torb's really good for one of two things: either putting out just a lot of punch between the turret and the Torb, or creating multiple angles of fire. Admittedly, his turret is very easy to eliminate once you see it. A lot of his value comes from finding cheeky ways to hide it, but really you want to put it in a spot where they have to turn and shoot the turret before they shoot at you. Now, unfortunately, I pushed the wrong button, my apologies. So once we get here, both teams are very much in a brawl type setup. Now, admittedly, our opponent's HCCP is actually in a pretty decent brawl comp. Junker Queen, Brig, Reaper, and Moira. They're all in-your-face melee heroes. Pharah isn't. My guess is that Pharah's not comfortable playing in a brawl comp, or they really just want to play Pharah, possibly for the boop elimination possibility. Our team, however, is not really set up for brawl as much. Junker Queen has to brawl. Reaper, same thing, so that's actually a mirror setup. The Torbjorn can brawl with that overload ability of his, but really he's that mid to long range space control guy. Baptiste is good at healing brawl, but he's got to be a bit of ways back from the fight. And Kiriko is flexible enough, but not really a brawl hero.
The objective is now active.
The reason I bring that up is that we pile in here with a point like this. This map has so many open angles to shoot at the point. Very rarely, if ever, do you want to stack up in one spot unless you're building a composition around you. Yeah, that was just a bit of situational awareness. The Reaper just walked up and bonked him. Wasn't a melee kill, but with the way Reaper plays, it may as well be. Okay, so we're regrouping. Ooh, that's a long Junker knife. But once you hit the max range, it auto recalls. But anyway, so we're going back. We're going back. Okay, we're getting some cheeky Pharah damage. I'm going to pause again. Especially with this bridge. If I'm playing Pharah, and better, especially if you know that they're playing Pharah, just don't go on the bridge. Just don't. It's not worth it. She'll boop you. Or at least she should. We'll see if Turtle pulls this off here. Oh, yeah, and we're hanging out on the bridge entirely too long. Yeah. That whip shot, if Brig hit any non-tank, that would have sent them flying. Between Brig and Pharah, this should be an easy trip to the water. She's getting there, just not quite. Okay, that's a strong ult that we're not ready for. We just need to back out of that. Oh. So, we've got a Reaper here on point, kind of getting some back cap. Now, admittedly, using a back cap to engage is really useful. So if you're like, okay, I'm alone on this flank, they don't know I'm here, and then you've got 4 on the other side, you know, engage with that and make them turn around to look at the back cap, and then you engage 4v5. That can create an advantage because they're now looking 2 different directions. Unfortunately, what's happened is they used an ultimate, they got an elimination on one of our supports, and now it's 3 heroes here against 2 here, but they've got the ultimate advantage, and 3 of them are turning around to squish this lone Reaper. Unless this Reaper has like Carpe caliber Reaper dueling skills, this isn't going to end well. Even if the Reaper dies, the Brig and the Far are both going to come say hi. Okay, so ulting by yourself. A lot of times we talk about solo ults where like someone uses an ultimate just to kill you, and it feels bad, like they're out to get you. Don't get me wrong. But when you ult by yourself and there's no teammates around, in that case it was a 3v1. It's high risk, high reward, and more times it's more risk than reward. Because if you pull it off, sure, you've flipped the table, 1v3, let's go, like their Reaper does a couple times later in this match. However, in this case, it was an ultimate that we could have used later, but now it's gone. And it got 1 kill, but really, that 1 kill is negated by the fact that the Reaper died. So it's really just a trade, and you lost an ultimate for it.
Time for the reckoning! Justice reigns from above!
Got a good
Time for the reckoning!
There. Oh. You hate to see it. Moving on. Not to pick on both teams too much, but that one is very much a positioning issue. Just making sure you don't hang out by this bridge too long. Orisa can kind of get away with it because of her spear cancellation and her fortify, but she's not going to have enough healing to survive that. Alright, good Torb angle on that one. Just getting some crossfire, but we got a touch in 10%. Okay, Reaper goes through, but oh. So, in a case like that. Alright. I'm gonna back up just a smidgen. Oh. Okay. I'm gonna come over here. So we're sitting at 80%. That's the, hey, get it together, we've got one last team fight. That isn't the panic time. And in all reality, what you want to do, okay, the tank dies at 82%. That gives you enough time, even on a slow tank. Orisa's a kind of slow tank. She has 1 movement cooldown. That's enough time for the tank to respawn and get back to the team fight. So, waiting on the respawn.
I'm overloading.
And then, right now, is when Reaper panics at 89% and jumps in. We are a splinter away from getting our tank back. Now, ultimately, I don't think the tank would get back in time to touch first, but I would definitely wait longer to give this team a chance to get in position. Another thing that I got to point out, we're getting held up on this bridge. We've completely fixated on this bridge when there's routes here for movement characters and a walking route to the left. There's also a a walking route up to the high ground. This isn't the most useful high ground, but it's a different route. It's a different place. You can get that Torb turret crossfire. So at 89% is when Orisa respawns. And hurrying on up.
Overtime.
So overtime got queued in then. Now, so that whole, again, 10-12% was the time it took there. What if we just waited and got in position in a spot where we can go in, Reaper even maybe like TP to the wall? Okay, I gotta go touch. At that point, your objective changes, because normally it's don't die and make them die. But at that point, you're fighting the clock too. You're at a disadvantage. Your new primary objective becomes, I have to touch to give time for the other 4 people on my team to get here. Instead, it was a solo touch that basically was just to sacrifice death that was basically almost as long as it took for the tank to run back. So it didn't actually yield the stall that we needed. Instead, now the other support and DPS are going into stall. And I'm pretty sure this is all but the end of the first round. Gates and the rest of stall doing their best. And then after that, now they've used another ult. And then Kiriko maybe? Nice Suzu. Yeah. Now, I want to go back in time. Okay, so this is the last minute of gameplay. I want to kind of count this out as we go along. I'm going to try to watch from like up here or so. So, there we go. So this, oh, whoops. And tank dies. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Tank respawns. Tank's running back. I'm not even worried about the Reaper. If you wait for it and then go touch now, the tank is halfway back and can keep on running. And now, instead of, well, 3 people are dead, one's running there, one's about to die, and then, ooh, touches, but now they're sprinting as best they can, trying to run back. Even with Tracer or Soldier, that's still not enough time. Reaper gets just enough time to die. Yeah. So, admittedly, we just didn't have the ultimates available to do it, but had we gone to that 5v5 or even 4v5, that'd be better than the 3v5 that we created, which ultimately led to 40 seconds of 1v5. So knowing when and how quickly to go in and touch that point can be really critical. But I'm going to wrap this one up and come